Okay, folks, welcome to the Storing Community. My name is Roy Serafin, and today we're going to be talking about what to do if you're moving to a new city. I know it's 2025, and honestly, a lot of us are probably considering moving, myself included, actually. 3 years ago, I moved to Florida, and to be completely honest, I have not loved it entirely. I don't think I've loved it to the fullest extent that I can, and for me, I want my life to be as full as I possibly can have it, and so I may or may not be moving out of the state of Florida. Now, I don't know what that means. I know over the summer I'm going to be doing kind of a traveling thing. I'm going to be traveling for the most part. And then after that, I either am going to move closer into Jacksonville, which is a bit north from where I'm at, or I'm going to possibly move to another state. I don't know yet, but I know that this means that I should have some sort of plan. And I know a lot of you don't have that plan yet. So we're going to talk about what I think is required for SEO purposes and networking purposes and content purposes to move to a new city, because I know it's a complicated thing. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff. And so you're going to see, I'm going to have this thing kind of shared up on the side, but we're going to talk about what I think actually it takes and why I'm going to be switching things and when I'm going to be switching things. So for the example we're going to go through today, let's pretend that you're not in my situation. Let's pretend that you know where you want to go in life. You're like, you know what? I think I want to go here. I'm going to go, live at this other location. This is the city I'm moving to. We already bought a house, maybe for some of you. Maybe you're renting a new place. Maybe you've been working on moving to this new place for a while. But we're going to talk about like what that means and what you should be doing through that time. And so the very first thing I'm going to do, right, I'm going to switch over my homepage. Now, I am either going to create an entirely new homepage dedicated to my niche, plus probably the term photographer. So it'd be like city niche photographer. I'm going to be switching that page over, or I'm going to be switching over to, or I'll be creating like a backup page. Now, if you're like not sure when you're going to move, this is not going to work for you necessarily. Like you don't want to create a whole new homepage and then end up not moving to that area. So what you would do is you would create an alternate homepage for the area that you do think you're going to be moving to. And you should be fairly certain if you're going to do that, because we're going to talk about, this is going to be a lot of steps. I think it's, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's more than 10 steps. It's a lot more than 10 steps. It's probably 20. So we'll be going through that. All right. So you're going to create this new homepage with the hopes and terms that, in my case, like if I'm a wedding photographer, and let's say I'm moving to San Antonio, Texas, I want to make sure that I'm actually starting to get inquiries coming in for that. And so the very first thing I'm going to be doing is creating a homepage dedicated to San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to try and use images that I have that would fit some of the wedding venues that are over there, or at least give off that same vibe. And now, luckily, I've lived in a few different states. So if I was going to move into San Antonio, Texas, or I was going to move even somewhere like on the East Coast even more, I already have content that kind of matches those. So I'm going to be trying to pull images from weddings of venues that are going to be similar to the venues I could find there until we get to the later steps, okay? And so I'm going to be using images there. I'm going to be looking at my competition's website. I'm going to be trying to answer as thoroughly as I can. I'm going to create this alternate homepage. Now, on my my own website, we're actually going to pull this up here real quick. We'll go here, and then we'll back into this. So on my own website, you can actually see I have alternative homepages all the way at the bottom. They have very, very similar layouts. They have different content that's kind of linked back to them. So you can kind of see, like on my current homepage, wedding planning resources. Here's all this stuff for St. Augustine. But if you go all the way down here and you click on, let's say, Jacksonville, for example, I have a Jacksonville page that is relatively recent. It's only been up for a couple of months, but it's got different copy. I've adjusted the copy. I adjust the images. I even adjusted this section to a little bit. But you'll see like the resources are even pulled even the resources that are being pulled are a bit different, where it's like, okay, these are now all Jacksonville-based things. So I'm going to create this as an opportunity when I'm building out this new page. I'm going to basically take a layout that I have that is working, if I already have one of those, and I'm going to create a homepage that really reflects the newer area that I'm moving into. Hopefully I have some local references I can pull in there and kind of build this page out. Now, from there, I'm going to be researching the venues that are going to be in this new area, because I want to write a blog post about the top venues in the area. Now, I personally am the kind of person where I would probably select more than 15, because I know I'm going to be narrowing some down. There's sometimes I look online and a place looks amazing, and then I actually go tour it and it's hot caca. I don't want to deal with it. It is, I don't want to work there. Or like I meet the venue owner and they're dicks, and we don't work with dicks. Okay. We do not work with dicks. So I may just pull them from the list. And so I want to make sure that I have like enough to tour also. And then again, I want to be narrowing some of these down. I really want to get to like a top 10, but somewhere near that, right? So I'm going to research those venues. I'm going to research their keyword research. So it's not just like you want to research city wedding venues, and then you want to research like locate, and then you want to research the wedding venues themselves. And usually it's especially if it's like a multi-use place, like a hotel, you want to look up the hotel name plus the word wedding, typically in your keyword research. And if you're not a wedding photographer, let's say, for example, you are someone who does, let's say, maybe you're a portrait studio that does portraits around the city. You can switch this out for locations that you recommend, and your job is actually a lot easier. We have to go tour full venues. You're pretty much going to tour the city, and your big thing is to find at least a couple locations where you can shoot indoors in case of inclement weather. So for wedding photographers, that's the next stage we're going to go into, is we're going to look up places to take photos. So you're going to look and see what other photographers are recommending, what's on Reddit, what's in like the recommended places in the city. Like you might want to look at a tourist site, like visit whatever the city name is .com. That might be something you want to go check out just to see, like, okay, where are people taking it? You can look up things like Instagrammable places in my city, and it'd be the city of wherever you're moving. Photo spots, places to take photos, places to take pictures, those kind of things. You'll get different Reddit posts and different Quora answers and different blogs from photographers being pulled up, and that'll kind of give you an idea of how to base these things out. And then what I'm going to do from that stage is I'm going to use something like ChatGPT to help me create a like an optimized map, so that if I want to do all of these in one day, like I want to go throughout the day and just take photos at these like 10 or 15 locations, I can just do that in like a tour for one of the days, because you will be going to this town in part of this this new city checklist that we're working on. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to research things to do. Again, you're going to look at the tourist sites. You're going to look at photographer sites. For a lot of places, you might want to look up date ideas. Now, this is more related to wedding photographers in general, but like date ideas are really great. Romantic things to do for couples. If you have a different niche, let's say you're like a family photographer, you might want to look up things for families to do. The reason is you're going to want to go and at least stop at a few of those places and take photos, and then recommend them to people who are looking for those kind of things. And then while they're on that page, you're going to showcase some of your work with the idea that, hey, you could also come get family photos from me. And you'll get some leads from it, but really it's going to be a really good local resource for traffic to kind of build into that site. I actually have a list here in handwriting of the most popular blog posts across like my clients, and then I did some research with other ones. And romantic things to do is like number one. Date ideas is another one. Elope in whatever the area or state. Niche wedding venues, so like small wedding venues, industrial wedding venues, distillery wedding venues, individual venue posts where you start talking about the venue, but break it down by showing a full wedding is what I found works a lot better. So it'd be like, for me, it'd be like the Lightner Museum weddings. And then you have like some images kind of going throughout the day of an actual wedding you've shot there, or a styled shoot. Engagement photos, where to take engagement photos, maybe a lead page, which would be like engagement photo photographer, or even family photographer. That's good. How to get married in the state. Sorry, I couldn't read my own handwriting. Places to propose, marriage advice, post-elopement party planning, small wedding venues, location elopement. So like wherever you're trying to get them to elope at, elopement packages in location. And then, you have some basic niche down stuff where it's like talking more specifically about the niche that you like to shoot. So for example, if you are a Indian wedding photographer, or you're somebody who like really specializes in that kind of thing, you might want to do something like with a Sanjeet or a Mendi photography and kind of explain like what those breakdowns are going to be. Okay. You can even do niche wedding venues or locations with that. Now, if you are a very specific type of wedding photographer, let's say you're a portrait photographer who like specializes in creating like unique marble type photos or something, you're going to want to need some TikToks to show off that kind of work. And then you might want to like label some areas that like maybe look really close to like the backgrounds of cities. Or if you do it all in studio, maybe explain your process there. And then you're just gonna have to work a little more creatively, to be honest with you, to get those things to work out. We research things to do. And then the next thing is you're going to set up tours for at least 8 to 10 of the venues that were chosen. Okay. So again, I would love to do all 20, but some of these are not going to be like, I'm just not going to be able to do all of them within like a week per se. You might be able to, maybe, but not with everything else we're going to be doing on this particular list. And so if you have a little bit more time, schedule them at all of them. But I would say make sure you try and get tours scheduled at your absolute must-haves, like the ones that you're so excited to be for. A venue tour doesn't have to be crazy long. You're not trying to book a wedding. You can let them know that up front. Just say you're a new photographer coming to the area and you want to check out the place. I found that most of the time people are pretty accommodating with that. Tell them you're going to take some photos, and if they need them or want them, they're welcome to have them. And so 8 to 10 of those would be great. You're going to have photos for all those locations. That means when you're talking about them, you have actual photos to reference. If you are not a shy person, one of the things that I've been really working on this year is just asking strangers if I could take photos of them. while I'm at a location. Like if I see a couple that's like really, really dressed up and they're over here by the Castillo or the the downtown area, I might just say like, hey, I'm a local wedding photographer and I'm actually going to be writing a blog post. Do you mind if I take a couple photos of you? If you're like someone who's really good at social media, you might want to put like one of those Insta 360 cameras on your hot shoe mount and just kind of take a couple photos that way. But it's a good way to kind of like meet new people in the area that you're already going to be moving to, get some reviews from them. So like say like, hey, listen, if you really love your photos, let me give you like just send a review to this link. Otherwise, I'll have them uploaded to a gallery and they can just get them from there. So you're going to join local Facebook groups for photographers, for vendors, if you're a wedding person, or if you're someone who, like maybe you have a specific niche type of vendor, like for family photographers, maybe it's like hairstylists. There might be some mom groups that you could join. There's a couple other things. And then models. So models are going to be big. You're going to need some models for this process, and you want to make sure that you have some version of like a couple or whatever your niche is to photograph, because obviously if we have work from the area, it kind of legitimizes us a little bit better. And you can always ask the models to leave you a review. I always recommend if you're going to work with somebody, you should be asking them for a review. Now, they may or may not do it. You can't force their hand, but I will say for models, I do require, like if I'm going to shoot with you, and it's like specifically for me, not a styled shoot, but it's specifically set up for me, you do have to leave me a review. It's part of the deal. I'm not getting paid, but I do want to have that review come in, especially if they had a good time. Now, if I work with them and I find out that I don't personally like them and we just don't seem to vibe, which can happen if you're meeting strangers from the internet, then you can kind of say like, maybe you just skip that stuff. Maybe you don't have to do that. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a week to go where I'm going to be moving to. I want to make sure that I have at least a full week. You can do 2 if you can afford it, but I want to make sure that you're at least spending some time in that area. If you have family, go stay with the family. But I'd say there is a benefit to taking a photo or two at one of the nicer hotels. Not only just like give yourself a self-portrait, but also to get some shots of like a place where people could stay. Because another thing you could write is where to stay in whatever city it is. A lot of times that's an underserved thing, especially like in our niche, wedding photography or photography for couples, whatever. Romantic hotels to stay in a certain area can be a really good traffic provider for your site. And it's also good just to show that local knowledge to Google and say like, hey, I actually do know a little bit about this area. Sometimes you write content so that Google sees that you know what you're doing, or that you are a local person, you have some local knowledge, so that they can start ranking the bigger page. Like maybe if wedding photographer for the whatever city you're moving into is more competitive, or whatever your niche is more competitive, having that local stuff that does like rank really well, like maybe it's an easier term, can boost your rankings there. So you want to make sure you have internal links going back to whatever pages you've created for this piece of content. Or even like you want to, like if you have other blog posts, you want to have those ranking back to the newer pieces and just kind of create this like web of entangled pages. Okay, so we're joining all the Facebook groups. We're selecting. We're going to go out there. You're going to use Calendly to create time slots for the models. Now, within that time slot, I make sure they know, like, hey, if you don't show up, I'm going to block you from ever working with me ever again. If you don't communicate why you're not going to show up, that's a thing. Also, at the end of it, what's cool is with Calendly, if you pay for it, you can have the texting version where you can send them a text after the session, like around when you think it's going to be done, for them to send you a Google review. You'll get that review back. Or at least they'll text you back and give you a review, and you can screenshot it and put it on your website somewhere. So any version of that's going to be good. After that, I'm going to book, like I said, I'm going to book a pretty hotel that my clients would like. I'm never really thinking about me. It's like, oh, okay, so if I want to work with like really high-end clients, I'm going to stay probably one night, or at least visit one night at a hotel that is way more than I would probably want to spend. Or I'll find a hotel that's just like really, really unique photographically, like one that I'm excited to go see, because I know my clients are going to kind of feel the same way. Like if you're working with me, you most likely have some sort of interest in architecture. Okay. So if I get a hotel that's like really cool or interesting or has a good story behind it, it gives me some content to write about. And again, I also have that content for the clients. You want to leave there with getting some headshots done by yourself. You don't have to pay someone, but you want to get something done where you can see a picture of your face that's local. Okay. Now, I'm going to try and book at least 3 models through this. Now, I'll take more. The more, the merrier, to be honest with you. That's going to give me more content. I'm just going to make sure that I have at least 1 wedding couple, 1 date night couple in a casual setting, and 1 date night couple in a more formal setting. Okay, it's going to give me 3 different looks that I can do. I might be able to use the formal date night couple as an elopement, and that would be the 4th one. If I had a 4th session, I would do elopements as well, because I like to photograph specifically. Urban elopements is one of my things I like to do. but I want to have at least those 4 covered. Then I'm going to use my friend Becca over at Glamour and Grind for a styled shoot at 2 of the venues I liked. Now she's pretty good. She'll usually find me a couple that I can model with, or that can model for me at these events. She's really, really amazing. If you guys aren't part of it, her group is called Glamour and Grind. It's a styled shoot group. You can set up things. You'll probably see me at a lot of her events because I do a lot of the background photography for her, and I'll probably end up taking your photo. So that could be fun. Now, I'll set up 2 of those at the venues I liked if I can. This isn't a must. It's just like, this is like what I would like to do. And if I can't do it the week that I'm going to visit, I will make another trip just specifically to go do those styled shoots, because that's going to give me the ability to write a full wedding blog about a wedding venue that will have, I can show photos of getting ready. I can show photos of like each stage of the day. I don't need to show a million of these photos, but I want to show a couple of them. Then we're gonna network with the styled shoot vendors. So the vendors that are there, I'm gonna make sure they're gonna be on my preferred vendor list as long as they weren't horrible to work with. And Becca didn't tell me anything like, hey, you shouldn't work with this person, they're crazy. As long as I've gotten that good background information, I'm gonna add them to my preferred vendor list, and I might send them an email and say like, hey, listen, if you're looking for someone that if you're looking for new photographers to work with, I'd love to work with you again. I loved your work. Here's all your photos. Make sure you send them the damn photos as quickly as you can, by the way. The faster you send them the photos, the happier that vendor's going to be. And you could even create some version of like an incentive, like, hey, listen, if your couples book me, since I'm new in the area, I'm going to take $1,000 off. I'm going to give them a free session. I'm going to give them, not a free session, but like a free engagement session if they book a wedding. I'm going to give them an extra hour. Whatever their love language is, you can kind of use that to create an incentive that matters to both the couple and the vendor as well. Sometimes you could even incentivize the vendor, like, hey, listen, if you can send me a couple of your couples, I will come take like great headshots of you. I'll literally come to your shop and I'll take your headshots for you for completely free. There's a way to wheel and deal with some of these things. So every day, regardless, while I'm there, for the week that I'm there, every day, regardless of weather, I'm going to shoot sunrise, and I'm going to try and shoot sunset in a different location if I can. That way I can write something, like I could write a blog post about like where to watch the sunset in this certain area, or where to watch the sunrise in a certain area. I also will get the best light for the city. So that sunrise session is usually when you won't have models, but you can walk around the city. You can take some photos. You can get some things kind of put together. It's going to it's going to suck waking up every day that early and working this hard within a week, but you're trying to basically get content for the entire city within that 1 week. The other thing is anywhere I visit, I'm going to try and take a photo of it. If it's like a restaurant, I'm going to take photos of the outside of the restaurant. I might take photos of my food if I need to. I'm going to try and take photos of whatever it is that I experienced that week, so I have content for it, so I can write it out. So you got to think like, okay, if your couples are foodies, you're going to have to write about restaurants. Having some photos of a place that you actually went to makes that process a little easier. Then I'm going to, make sure that like if I go to like a park, or if I go to a movie theater, or if I go to like anywhere that my couples would want to hang out at, I'm going to make sure I have photos of those locations and also kind of document the trip. This is kind of like how you moved out here. It's part of your story as well. So then what we're going to do is we are going to go back home. Okay, we're back home. What are we writing? We're writing a top venues post. We're going to write a venue with the word wedding next to it post from the 2 styled shoots if possible, or any of the venues that you did tour and you happen to get some like photos of guests around there. So like you can technically do that if you found a couple that was really, really dressed up at the venue you were at for whatever reason. Maybe it's a tourist destination. Maybe it's got a fancy dinner place. Maybe you took 30 minutes and just took some photos of them. Whatever, you can figure out a way to do that. And one thing that I found pretty consistently amongst like our clients and my own website is that if there's people in the photos, like you're taking portraits of somebody, that's going to perform like significantly better than just having like empty venue photos. Okay. So we're going to write the venue post for 2 of those places. Then I'm going to work on my where to take photos post. Now I may niche this down. I may be where to take engagement photos, where to take proposal photos, whatever. But I'm also going to write a where to propose post or a proposal ideas for the city post next. Okay. So place to take photos. Then you have a where to propose for wedding photographers or even portrait photographers who want to make what is relatively easy money. And then we're going to work on a top vendors post for the planners, the florists, the decor rental, whatever vendors you have photos of from those styled shoots, or in general, you could even use past photos if you wanted to, but you're going to need to be mentioning like, here's what I look for in a florist. Here's the 5 florists I found in the area that actually like do those things. Here's why I recommend them. And you want to have those personal reasons down. You don't want to just make stuff up or let ChatGPT figure it out, because ChatGPT is going to copy something from the internet, bring it back to you, and kind of regurgitate it towards you. What you want to do is you want to give it some sort of input and then have it create a custom review based on there. And then last but not least, we are going to work on an email strategy. Okay. And so email strategies are really simple. Like any of the vendors that you looked up and you're like, oh, I really want to work with this person, you're going to do something for them. You're going to offer to hop on a call and get to know them a little bit. You're going to maybe see if you can do some headshots next time you're in town. You're going to let them know that you're new and you're moving to the town. You're going to work really hard to make sure that your name is known within that town and have some people who know of you already by the time you get there. The goal is that let's say you're moving 6 months out. If you're this prepared 6 months beforehand, your rankings should increase provided you actually do all of these steps by the time you get to that new location. And that's really what the goal is, right? We want to have the site kind of build up momentum in that city so that maybe by the time you're moving into your new location, you're already getting leads for it, whether that's from the vendors that you connected with, the couples that you worked with, the reviews that you created, or the content that you're writing. So it's a really, really big multi-tiered strategy for like how you're going to move to this new location, a new area. These are the things that I found that work the best. Obviously, like I said, we can go through this list one more time. These are the things that I found that work the best through my couples and my client, or through my clients, my own website, blog posts, romantic things to do, or things to do in general. If you're not a wedding photographer, elope in the state or the city, niche wedding venues. So again, if you like industrial wedding venues, if you like garden wedding venues, whatever, just write those ones out. Individual venue posts with the word wedding next to them, where you can break down what it's like to actually have a wedding there. Engagement photos, like where to take them, how to take them, what to wear to those things, the best locations to take, photos there. Get married in that state, how to do it. Like, how do you get married? Do you need a permit? Do you need a blood test? Do they need like the left pinky finger of your third cousin? Whatever. I don't know. Whatever that state needs or whatever that location needs that you're talking about. Maybe it's not in the US, maybe it's somewhere else. You need to make sure you have all that information so their marriage is solid. If it's not in the US, maybe explain to them what they can do. Like if they're coming from Canada and they're going to be moving, or they're getting married in Florida, like what's the rules? What do they need? Post-elopement party planning, marriage advice is really good. Places to propose, small wedding venues, location/elopement. So again, like where they could get eloped. This isn't really like elope in the state, but it could be like you could show off a full elopement with this. Like I got Sedona here. Sedona, like a Sedona elopement guide, or maybe you got married at one of the couple got married at one of the very specific mountains that are there. So maybe like Cathedral Rock elopement guide. Elopement packages in location. So again, if you're somebody who likes to do hybrid stuff, you like doing elopements, you like doing regular weddings, create a page that shows off what should be included in an elopement package for that location. You can put starting prices there and just kind of in general what most people go to. But you don't have to put all your prices there if you don't want to. You can just put starting prices. Same thing for wedding packages. So like wedding packages in location or wedding collections in location. Have a pricing page that figures that stuff out and lists it out. Those are the ones that have worked really, really well across the board for my clients. And again, this strategy that I just kind of gave you guys, this should really help you really get solidified in where you're at least from an SEO standpoint. The other things you're going to want to do is once you do finally have that address, right? You're going to want to make sure that you adjust your Google Maps address, which is going to be a pain. You want to make sure you have some business information scheduled, like signed up with the state. So you want to make sure you move your DBA before you move your Google business license or your LLC. You're going to want to make sure you do the same for Bing. You're going to make sure that your Facebook page now shows the new address. You want to go back through all of your other listings, like if you have a carrots and cake, if you have wedding maps, if you're part of any of the local groups, you want to make sure that it does showcase that you are now based in this location. You may still serve your other location, but you are now based in this location. Maybe even explain like on your homepage, if you can, like what your travel policy is. Mine, basically, after they book 2 photographers, it ends up being free for the U.S. only, like continental U.S. There's so many things that you have to do in order to do this right, and it's going to be a ton of work. I don't want you to go through this and think like, oh, I can do half of this and I'll be fine. No, you better do every step that's in here. I will screenshot this new city checklist for you guys, drop it in the comments of this, and hopefully this helps some of you out. Otherwise, thanks so much. I've been Roy, you've been the audience, and I'll talk to you later.